People divided. The damages of political parties. The United States has been a beacon of freedom, unity, and stability for the entire world. Our great country has battled for our freedom as well as the freedom of others. America has grown into one of the most influential and powerful countries in the world because of our economic, cultural, and military significance. The founding fathers of the United States built a foundation of equality, unity, and cooperation. And they expected our government to grow and continue this. It has continued in many ways, and our government has been relatively successful. However, it's plagued with a division we know as political parties. Political parties have been present in the United States since its infancy. President George Washington, as well as many other early presidents, advised against political parties for the very reason of disunity. Political parties are often based on either conservative or liberal views. Some of the first political parties with any influence in the government were known as Federalists, which were comprised of politicians such as Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and the Anti-Federalists, which comprised of Patrick Henry, George Mason, and more. These parties were present in the infancy of our country and initiated division in the government. These parties grew, changed values, identified under different identities, and some even fell. The Anti-Federalists changed into the Republican Party, while the Federalists became the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party was also known as the Democratic Republican Party. These parties divided, and some of their divisions were not successful, and they were destroyed. The Democratic Republican Party became what we know today as the Democratic Party, while the Republican Party remained under the same name. Over history, these parties, their values, and the significance of them has fluctuated. The conflict has always remained. The American ideal of unity and cooperation is essential to every country's success. Political parties, most notably the Democrats and Republicans, divided our country and caused disunity. The ideals of each party are vastly different and often opposite. This creates conflict in political offices such as presidency and Congress. During elections, candidates campaign under the umbrella of a party. They are financially and politically supported by the members of the party. These campaigns are typically between two parties, and they present ideals opposite of each other, which creates conflict. Political parties create more conflict once politicians are elected. In the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the Supreme Court, decisions are often filed by the party that holds the majority. In different branches of government, if different branches of government are dominated by opposing parties, checks and balances are overutilized. For example, when the Republican-dominated Congress sends a bill to a Democratic executive, the bill may not get signed. The bill may be a necessity, will not pass because of one individual with opposing views. Loyalties to each party also are an issue. The elected politicians, as well as the electorate, the American people, remain loyal to the party and vote and act in the best interest of the party. The morals, ethics, and reason of the politicians and American people are secondary to the loyalties of the party. The removal of these parties also places more qualified politicians in office because they are because they are identified as people and their morals and reason, and not by the party. They would be elected on for who they are, not the party they represent. No part of the Constitution of the United States is the presence, regulation, and the balance of political parties are mentioned. Therefore, why do they exist and exercise such tremendous influence? Political parties not only create conflict in the government, but also among the American people. People have a tendency to create factions. We see this in athletics, lifestyles, as well as politics. Factions, of course, have different views, and these views do not always align. When political parties, when provided political parties by the government, the people are factionalized based on their own views and values. When it comes to key social issues such as abortion and marriage, parties will have vastly different views. People will align with the party they relate to the most. When major events happen, such as school shootings or protests, a great amount of tension arises because of people's opinions. This tension causes societal conflict and often violence. When it comes time for the government to step in and put a stop to the conflict and violence, they do not. They only reflect the conflict and disunity. The removal of political parties removes focus from either group as a whole during conflict, and that focus can be applied to the argued issues, both in government and among the American people. Political parties do, however, have one benefit of their many issues. They provide a counter-argument for each other. This can benefit politics because it presents circumstances, options, and ideas that one party may not realize. This allows for more in-depth debates and votes. Though political parties could build each other's foundations, it can be done among individuals with more success and more ideas of different values. This idea, however, would not be supported in Washington, D.C., because political parties are so deeply rooted in the political process. The government has revolved around party strength and influence to pass bills, make decisions, and appoint office holders in order to suit the needs of the party rather than the needs of the United States. Those who have beliefs at the farthest ends of the political spectrum will not approve of this because of distaste, and those who have opposite views. Politicians that function as puppets to the party will disagree with this for the obvious reason: they will not have an influence in the political realm otherwise. Most moderate individuals and politicians, as well as those with the people, advancement, and the success of American mind, would be critical in realizing this concept. The American people are so deeply tied to parties and would make realization even more difficult. The greatest interest of any American citizen should be participating in the political process, and that should benefit the United States. The conflict and division resulting from political parties restrains this interest. Therefore, political parties hinder the advancement of America.